What if the hero destined to save Nirn never appeared? What if the fate of Skyrim did not rest with the Dragonborn, but with the loyal men and women of the Whiterun city guard? No epic hero of old, no prophesied clash of titans, just honest boots on the ground guards trying to bring order to chaos and justice to their lands. Right, so before we begin, let's lay down some rules. As a city guard, we can only use our standard issue weapons and armour given to Whiterun city guards, and we cannot use arrows above steel. To balance the lock on gear upgrades, we are allowed to bring along with us fellow Whiterun city guards. These guys will help us bring law and order to the lands. As a little side objective, we'll see how many we lose along the way. So if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to see more, consider subscribing. Let's jump into the challenge run. And so it was time to bid farewell to my Jarl, my fair city of Whiterun, and my home. With the promise to protect Whiterun in my heart, I sounded the horn, and the sons of Skyrim went forth. So upon arriving to Riverwood, a assassin immediately killed a citizen, so I chased them down as any good guard would do, and I acted as judge, jury, and executioner. The assassin's victim was still laying in the streets, but they were just a Breton, and I really didn't want to deal with the paperwork, so I let the river make it another jurisdiction's problem. We then had to deal with the Bleak Falls bandits. Bandits are any good guard's bread and butter, so it was no problem. We ambushed some more bandits inside, and I selected the right pillars just before one of my fellow guards would have triggered the trap, potentially killing most of us. Listen, we guards are courageous and undaunted, but there's a reason we're not studying at the College of Winterhold. We took out the giant spider together, which is the first taste of some of the really cool guard teamwork boss battles we'll be seeing in this video. We also took out Arvel without a fair trial, and now it was time to take on the Draga. You know, it's very likely some of these Draga are our ancestors, but the future of Whiterun was in the balance, so the past must be defiled. I nearly turned my fellow guards into paste trying to safely trigger the trap. I was trying to stop their AI from killing themselves. Luckily they made it past and we pressed on. We battled into the inner sanctum and caught the Draga Lord resisting arrest. We commandeered the Dragonstone and stopped off at the inn for a cheeky post-shift ale. There was a dead vampire chilling in the corner. We finished our ales and returned to Whiterun. Our mission was a success. But we had no time to celebrate, for our fair city was under attack by a dragon. We sallied out to face the dragon, and we did look pretty cool doing it, not gonna lie. I saw one of my brethren turned into a dragon chew toy, and then I showed my fellow guards why I was made captain. I returned to the Jarl with news of victory. And you know when you do well at work, and instead of rewarding you, your boss gives you more work? Yeah, that's what the Jarl did to me, and so I was sent to the Greybeards to ask for help. Upon reaching High Hrothgar, we saw our fair city in all its glory. We were reminded of our cause. We decided to make prayers to the gods atop this holy place, and then set out to Ustengrav to retrieve the Greybeards' horn in return for their help. We headed to Morphel first, and saw it under attack by dragon cultists, so we delivered some joint task force smackdowns before once again sipping some ales. It was at this point I realised I had contracted rock joint from a skeever in Bleak Falls. Luckily there was an apothecary across the street, so I sucked down a potion of cure disease, and we headed out into the murky swamps of Morphel. Ustengrav had been taken over by some necromancers, but they made the mistake of wearing nothing but cloth robes, and our steel cut through them like soft butter. Yeah, this dungeon was fairly easy. The only real trouble was trying to stop my fellow guards from killing themselves on traps. We made it all the way through, only to find we'd wasted our time. The horn had been taken. However, there was a silver lining. There was a decent amount of treasure lying about, and we could supplement our modest guard wage with loot. We filled our pockets and returned to Riverwood. Delphine wanted to keep her plans a secret, but we were in Whiterun. We had jurisdiction, and more importantly, we had probable cause. We busted into her secret room and made her give up the goose. Turns out Alduin was resurrecting dragons all across Skyrim, so we thought we'd hit up his next spot, and we did what Skyrim guards do best. We charged in head first against a dragon, and we destroyed it before it could be fully reborn. This fight was actually pretty cool looking. This shows you what happens when Skyrim guards fight together with true deadly purpose and efficiency. This also proved to Delphine that we meant business, so she let us in on her plan to infiltrate the Falmer embassy. I agreed to do this only if her contact would sneak in all the boys. I entered the party, caused a quick distraction, and snuck into the kitchen, where we met all the boys fully geared up. I don't know how Malborn did it, but he did it. We knew if we were to be seen, it would cause a diplomatic crisis, so we left no witnesses and slaughtered the Falmer to a man. We found their torture dungeon and knew we had made the right choice. Sadly, my fellow guards kept blocking me, and I had to watch Malborn die. I could do nothing to stop this. I started to think this may have been planned by my fellow guards to leave no witnesses. I think they're becoming corrupt. I had no time to cry for Malborn. We had to leave and disperse before we were seen. Delphine then wanted us to fetch her hermit mentor to help our cause. But to reach Esbern, we had to commit a few crimes. This is where the corruption arc really begins. We planted some stolen goods on a merchant to make a false arrest. We really needed to get our quotas up, but we also needed to receive the information on Esbern's whereabouts. We found him and once again kicked the door in without a warrant. Remember, we're doing this to save our families back in Whiterun. No cost is too high. Turns out these two were blades, and they wanted us to head to their ancient temple to set up shop. But to get there, we would have to fight through a forsworn camp. A dragon also decided to join in on the fun, and this is where we lost our first guard. Enraged, we slew the whole camp. A forsworn tried to flee by way of water, but I would not allow it. We blessed our fallen brother so he may find his way to Sovngarde. And Esbern and Delphine? They were nowhere to be seen. The cowards had slipped through while we did the fighting. This is the start of my Blades hate arc. I decided to link back up with the Greybeards, and because of our mutual hate of Delphine, they decided to give us access to the Throat of the World and a way to defeat Alduin. And it turns out we needed an Elder Scroll, so to the college we went. Now, with Gars, we have no magical proficiency, but we were dragon-slaying pros at this point, so we killed a dragon attacking the college and were granted access. We had to head to Septimus, who was chilling 10 minutes north of the college, and he decided to be a good citizen and gave us all we needed. However, I knew the horrors that awaited me and my fellow guards. Ulftand and Blackreach. Yeah, I knew we weren't all going to make out alive. There's no two ways about it, some of us were dying. But we had pledged an oath to Whiterun, and we were no cowards. The dwarven spiders and the spheres were no problem, it was the frickin' damned Falmer. I worked so hard to avoid all the traps with my men, only to be met by these cursed hordes of Falmer. We lost our second man. He was wielding the Axe of Whiterun too, so we had to quickly grab that back. Luca held back the horde so I could pass on. Yeah, I had to run past all these Thalmor. I know I'm a guard, I'm meant to be valiant and brave, but this was suicide. So I just kept on running to reach the Elder Scroll. I used the Centurion to thin some of the Thalmor and picked off the rest with Luca. Luca had not yet had his fill of blood, so he third-partied these adventurers and gained access to Blackreach. Once again, it was time to run. The Centurion distraction did not work. At this point, Luca just wanted out of here. He would not stop running. We claimed our prize and we hit the road. Another brother lost. We used the Elder Scroll to look back in time, and we saw the OGs using the same moves as me, and then Alduin attacked. Luca and I, still furious at our lost brethren, made short work of Alduin. He fled at the might of the Whiterun guards. To give chase, we would have to trap one of Alduin's allies, and to do that, we would need to use the dragon trap back in Whiterun. This time, the Jarl needed to step up to help Whiterun. I begged my Jarl, and he agreed, but only if there was a ceasefire in the Civil War. So we had to bring the Jarls of the land together, and I immediately kicked out Eowyn and gave her seat to Luca. I acted in the best interests of Whiterun in the council, and then Luca took his rightful place at the head of the table, as, we're the true heroes of this story. Jarl Bolgroth was none too pleased with trapping a dragon in his palace, and he stropped all the way to his position. A fellow guard thought being naked and greased up would help him against the dragon. It did not. We trapped the dragon, and it was surprisingly chill. It agreed to fly me and all the boys to Alduin's lair. And when I say all the boys, I brought all the boys. This was the best part of the run. We really brought the battle to Alduin. We made short work of the dragons and the Draugr here. We lost a guard to a fire trap, and then we got ambushed by a Vusrodar. Two more guards frickin' slipped on this ledge and fell to their deaths. These are the only losses so far, is these trap deaths. And then we absolutely leathered this dragon priest. We were hardcore bullying this guy. We entered Sovngarde ready to raise hell. We zerged soon, and he somehow deemed it honourable. Fair enough, I guess, I'm not going to complain, and we gained access to the Hall of Valor. The moral of this video is that together we really are stronger. Inside, we made merry before great battle. We drank mead, we danced and played music. We gathered our strength and our sweetness for this final battle, which turned out to be incredibly easy. With the heroes of Sovngarde plus all these Whiterun guards, yeah, we mopped up Alduin no problem. So yeah, the fight was incredibly easy, and I thought I had made it with most of my men alive, but then during Alduin's death animation, a bunch of these meteors come raining from the sky, and yeah, they just killed most of my guards right at the damn end. I really thought we'd made it, man. I really thought we'd made it. Luca, the captain, and one heavy guard survived. The rest had died. Hey, at least their souls didn't have far to travel. Soon sent us back to Skyrim, and the dragons gave us a hero send-off. It was time to return to Whiterun. And so our Whiterun guard returned home a valiant hero. He was made thane and awarded some modest land outside the city. He'd put down his sword and picked up a hoe and tried to live a life of peace. He knew what was coming. With the dragons dealt with, the sons of Skyrim would soon be at each other's throats once more. And there we are, we beat Skyrim as a guard. Let me know what you thought of this run in the comments below, and if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to see more, consider subscribing. Your viewership is always appreciated. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.